Welcome back to another edition of the White Sox here on OOTP 25. And as you can see, we are sitting here on July 27th. We are approaching quickly the trade deadline of 2029. And our Chicago White Sox are sitting pretty at the moment, 4.5 games in front of the Minnesota Twins for first place in the division. Now, we are 4-6 in our last 10. They're 7-3. But overall, we have been the better team, the best team in the Central Division this season. We take a look at the expanded standings. We are still the only team with a positive run differential here in the Central. Our one-run record is up to 13-16. This was like 1 and something horrible the first time we looked at this, but we have rebounded a bit, been a bit better. Obviously not where we want the number to be, something like this, but, we're good enough to win the Central right now, but we are going to see what we can do here to improve our team heading into the deadline. Like I said, take a quick look at the team stats here. We are, top 8 offense in the American League. Yet again, another terrible base running season. I think we're starting to approach the time where Sergio Santos is going to have to get fired, because he believes he's such a good manager because he had so much success in the minors combined in the big leagues now that he's an outstanding reputation guy, and he pretty much believes that he should be doing a lot of this stuff. And the hit and run, the sack bunts, the stealing, the aggressive running is really hurting us here. When we take a look at the strategy page, where the hell even is it from this point? There we go. From the strategy page, Sergio Santos, we can't do the hit and run, the sack bunt. We're sack bunting way more than we want. We're hit and running way more than we want. We can only move this. Okay, why was that so high? Yeah, we can only move that down to the exact middle. Stealing bases, this is as low as we can go with that. So we're going to do that, but I don't know why it was so high in the first place, but whatever. We're going to drop it down. I doubt it's going to make a huge difference, but we can't change the hit and run. We can't change the sack bunt. This stuff doesn't really matter too much because I lock most players and set them for them in the individual player strategy. Same sort of stuff, but this stuff does matter a little bit because this stuff you can't really do individually for players. The hook you can. The hook ties into the individual stuff, but the left-right matchups, the pinch hitting, not that I'm too concerned with some of these because I would like to have this to be preferring matchups, but some of this base running and the bunting stuff, we're going to see how it goes, but we might be approaching the time where Sergio Santos, depending on, not even depending on, just no matter how this season ends, probably not going to be our manager next season. But anyways, back to the team stats page. Like I said, top 8 offense, not the best place to be. We could definitely improve the hitting. As far as what positions, like on paper, we'll get into that in a second here. But we are top 5 in OPS and slugging, so that's good to see. Hitting a decent amount of home runs, decent amount of extra base hits, I guess. But and also not striking out a ton. But the overall runs scored can definitely improve. But it doesn't need to improve too much, at least on paper, because our pitching continues to be so good, combined with our defense. The second best ERA, the first with the starters, the third with the bullpen, the second least amount of runs, top 3 in WAR, first in hits allowed, opponent's average, BABIP, home runs allowed, and then once again still walking a bit too many guys and not striking out enough. But even with these, we're still not giving up a ton of home runs, and we're playing it's extremely good defense, having this incredible pitching staff. So we're going to see how far this pitching staff can take us as we continue to invest in it. The past 2 off seasons with Houck, and then this off season with De Los Santos, and we also brought in Tristan McKenzie and Andres Munoz. All those guys have been like Munoz definitely hasn't been as good as we would have hoped. Tristan McKenzie, also not really as good as we would have hoped. And Aniel De Los Santos has been really good in the bullpen. Good in the bullpen, but not great as a regular starter. And he is currently rocking as a follower for us. We could possibly put Matt Manning in that role, but he's been really good in the reliever role. So I'm just kind of, I'm not too concerned with upgrading the pitching. I don't think we did touch the pitching at all. Maybe picking up like a reliever or something. But even then, like if we did, who would we drop out of there, because right now Grant Taylor is in the bullpen. De Los Santos is in the rotation. I think I made that change in the last video. I'm not 100% sure. But there's no real obvious, like, drop down to the minors and add a bullpen arm sort of situation going on here. So I'm just not going to really look into adding an arm because I feel like we're fine. But then on the hitting side of things, on paper, really, it's like we're hoping Caro starts to turn things around. June and July he did. June and July he has so far, so maybe he's starting to turn a corner here, and the rest of the season is going to be really good for him. Jenkins is starting to hit much better as of recently. Brian Ramos is still not doing like typical Brian Ramos things, but he's been good enough, I guess. Zavala has been really good for us, and then Colson Montgomery's basically been carrying our team. Jacob Gonzalez is playing with Mogollon at second base, as they've both been okay-ish, I guess. And then Brooks Lee playing shortstop. Defensively, he's been getting the job done. Offensively, better than he has been, but not anything too special. But like also, you're not really going to find a shortstop upgrade. Center field, Terrell not getting it done at the plate, but he is getting it done defensively, already at a 7 ZR. But the strikeout percentage continues to be a real big problem for him and is going to limit his ability to be a major league player for us. And then Hudson has been terrible as well. So really the way I'm looking at it is if we're going to, like the only open spot in the outfield is center field. Like, we're not going to play Zavala or Jenkins in the center field. Neither of them are center fielders. So the only open spot in center field, or in the outfield, is center field. We're not going to be able to just find a center fielder like that just off the scrap heap or on the trade block. So I guess, like, second base would be like the most obvious opening. Like, we acquire a second baseman, move one of these guys to the bench, the other one goes down to AAA, and we do that way, because I've been liking what Rafaela adds to the team, just versatility wise. Even if he is wrecked, he's been not getting hurt for us aside from last year in the playoffs, so he's going to stay up here for as long as we can. But yeah, maybe acquiring a different backup outfielder instead of Head, and acquiring a second baseman who could start for us. That might be the way to go for us, picking up 2 bats. I think that's something we are going to be looking into here. So just quickly looking at the trade block here, taking it off of that. We have Christian Encarnacion, not a second baseman. We should put this on second base, first of all. So it's Jazz, who's, you know, like how is, like, on paper, like, how is this better than Jacob Gonzalez? You know, on paper it doesn't really look better than Jacob Gonzalez. It doesn't really seem like an upgrade to me. Sal Frelick, not really a second baseman. Also, he's hurt. Zach Neto, maybe. You know, he's not the Zach Neto from our Angels universe, but maybe Zach Neto could be an option for us. He's having a good year this season, but like I guess he had a good year in 2024 and 2025, then he sucked for 2 seasons. He was average last year, and then he's been good this season. Really, really good at the plate, but not so, like, you know, maybe it is a full sample size. I really can't, 52 games, what is that? Who's playing 52 games for us? Yeah, that's not a full sample size. That's like he's a bench player, so, you know, maybe he's acquired and he gets added to our team and he helps us out. Bryson Stott could be maybe an option. He's even less of a hitter, so, like, not really something that's jumping out of the page to me. Has no gap and no power. Gleyber Torres, I guess, could be an interesting option. Sure. Yeah, I guess Gleyber could be an option, and then it's just a bunch of 45 guys, where it's like, these guys aren't going to be huge upgrades. They're not even going to be upgrades at all on paper to the guys that we have. So, like, really, it's just Neto, Stott, and Torres. No, Neto and Torres. Neto and Torres, not Stott, are the guys that I would be looking at, because they're just the most interesting to me at the moment. So Neto and Torres, yeah. We'll see. Well, first of all, let's take a look at who's worse, the Rays or the Blue Jays. They're both bad. They're both minus 100 run differential teams. Neither of them are going to be playoff teams. So we could easily trade for either of them, maybe even both of them. Who knows? We could do something like, it honestly might even make sense to trade for both of them, even though we already have our current platoon thing at second base of Gonzalez, or we're splitting them mainly just every third game for Magellan, but like, it's right now it's a lefty-righty thing where Gonzalez is hitting well against righties, not so much against lefties, and then Magellan does start against lefties. So yeah, it is a platoon, Magellan, but he's not hitting against lefties, even though on paper he should be able to hit against lefties. So it's like, maybe we bring in Neto and play him every third game against righties, and then he starts against lefties. Because Neto... Wrong thing. Neto was the one who is better against lefties. He's got the better ratings against lefties, but look at his splits here. Obviously much, much smaller sample size, as it's always going to be against lefties, which is why these lefty masher types are always, you got to go by ratings rather than the numbers, because it's just such a small sample size, you can't really judge anything based on that. I always laugh when I'm listening to games in the playoffs especially, and John Smoltz is like, man, you really got to take a lot of stock on this guy's career against this pitcher. He's 1 for 4 in his career. Man, this guy really kills this pitcher. He's 2 for 5 in lifetime. And it's just, okay, stop talking. Driving me insane. Oh, but then there's also Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres also has the lefty stuff going. So yeah, I mean, honestly, Gleyber, I think, is on paper, he's the better bat. So I think Gleyber's got to be the guy we go with here. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's get Gleyber Torres in the building, see what we can get. First, before we do this, who's out there as like an outfield option, as like a depth outfield option? There's Frelick, who we know is injured. Trent Grisham, not really going to be a huge upgrade on Terrell, if an upgrade at all. Jack Sawinski's out there again. We already saw how that went. And then it's just a bunch of 45s. Like, we could bring back Sean Bouchard, who's been horrible this season with Houston. But the thing about Head as our backup is that he's also our backup center fielder. So, I mean, Jung-Hoo Lee has been terrible. Terrible. Maybe Josh, he can't really play center. He can't play center. He is an expiring contract who's also on the Rays. Yeah, I don't know. We might not pick up an outfielder, we'll have to see. But we are going to try to go after Gleyber Torres here and add him to our team. Is what would just straight up work. I mean, we're not going to give them Burrows. Campana, I don't think I want to do that. Also, probably shouldn't be an A-ball anymore. And the thing you gotta realize about Torres here, this isn't like, peak Gleyber Torres. This is 33 years old, expiring free agent Gleyber Torres. So, like, it's not going to take a ton to get him. So, like, even just giving them somebody like Ricardo Gomez here, who theoretically could be a good starting pitcher for us at some point, or even just like a bulk reliever. He's got that really, really high movement. Now, he doesn't have the greatest control to go with it, but he does have that 55 with the 60 potential movement, which is going to make him useful. And the control isn't like Jared Kelly level, so that could be interesting, but I would not be opposed to just trading him straight up. I mean, I don't think I want to rely on a rookie like this, Campana, who's been an A-ball, because I just kind of overlooked him. That kind of slipped through the cracks. I would have started this guy in Double-A. I have him in Double-A now. And, like, on paper, this guy is really good. But, like, I don't know if I want to just straight promote him from A-ball. Maybe we still go after Torres, and Campana ends up coming up to the big leagues at some point anyways and helps us down the stretch. I will definitely make sure this guy is added onto the 40-man roster. Yeah, he's eligible for the Rule 5 this offseason, so we will definitely make sure that he's on the 40-man roster, ready for the playoffs at the very least. And we've also got some other options that might be interesting. Infielders like Rogelio Encinas here, who is also a Rule 5 guy this offseason. We'll probably be doing the same thing with him, trying to make sure that he's on the roster. If he takes the second base, right? You could see first, third, short. And I was like, he has a 55 rating at shortstop, even with only a 445 turn DP. So, like, you would think he'd be able to play second base if he's going to be that good at shortstop, even with this low return DP. So, Figured why not try to play him there a bit. We're currently locking him to second base at the moment. Also, somebody not really helping us with the second base or outfield situation, but with the bat situation just in general. Cruz Schoolcraft here, he was a 4th-round pick for us in 2025. He's developed quite nicely, currently in Birmingham with the Barons of the Southern League. And when it comes to his pitching ratings, you know, probably not really going to ever be a guy for us. Or we could just look at this right here, 45 potential starter. Maybe he ends up like a decent-ish reliever, but he's always going to have that 45 home runs allowed, which is going to limit him. But when it comes to being like a power hitter, that's some legit stuff. 60 grade power, 55 against lefties. I mean, that's some legit power. He wants to be playing in the major leagues. Now, right now, at the DH spot, we have Jacob DeBias, who is, clanking a bunch of home runs for us right now at that DH spot as a lefty bat. But, maybe at some point Cruz Schoolcraft ends up on the big leagues this season, or maybe next season he ends up in the big leagues for us. Oh, what am I talking about? The outfield situation. We don't need to pick up an outfielder. We can send down Hudson Head and call up Everett Johnson, because if we're going to have him as a backup outfielder, I'm fine with like a 60 range, 50 grade center fielder being like the occasional center fielder and main 4th outfielder. I'm totally fine with that. So, I don't think we need to acquire an outfielder. It's like there's not really anything out there that's interesting. I think Everett Johnson could be the guy who comes up and replaces Hudson Head's spot on the big league roster for the rest of the season. We'll have to see. I believe he's already on the 40-man. He is indeed, so it works out perfectly. Even somebody like Seaver King could be interesting, even if he hasn't been the greatest the past 2 seasons at the AAA level for us. And then we also still have Nick McLean, who got off to a terrible start in the major leagues, but he is still around in the system here with at least one more option year heading into next season, because he's already had one used this year. Yeah, so I've played around adding some different prospects to the trade list here for Gleyber Torres, and there's just not really anything that really moves the needle for them. But they are interested in Ricardo Gomez just straight up, so we're just going to give them Ricardo Gomez. Could this guy be an interesting pitcher for us? Absolutely. Do I think I specifically need somebody like this? Are we going to really, really miss him? No, I think we have plenty of pitching depth in the organization, and I think we've proven that we could develop pitching quite easily here on the south side. So Ricardo Gomez is going to be shipped off to the Tampa Bay Rays in return for Gleyber Torres for the rest of this season, and he's going to join our big league roster. All right, so right now, as far as the lineups go against righties, Torres just slots into this backup second base role. He's going to play every 3rd game against righties because he's a little bit worse against righties than he is lefties. And then Gonzalez is still hitting decently well against righties, but we do want to get Torres in a bit more than just as a short side platoon guy. So Gonzalez going to play a bit against, he's going to be, splitting time at second base against righties, but then against lefties, it is Gleyber Torres who is our weak side platoon here because he crushes lefties. He should, as far as his ratings go, so he's going to be hitting against lefties there. And we might even honestly, Zavala has been good in the leadoff spot, but I guess he has been hitting decently well against lefties. I mean, really well against lefties, honestly. So maybe we don't, because, he still can hang a bit against lefties, but I was like, maybe Torres leads off against lefties, and Zavala drops down, maybe? Maybe? We'll try it. Zavala will hit 9th as like a second sort of leadoff guy, and we'll do something like that for righties and lefties. But you can see we've also sent down Hudson Head and Magellan. Magellan was replaced by Torres. Hudson Head was sent down, and Everett Johnson is now on the big league roster as our backup outfielder. He's the 4th outfielder. He's a lefty bat, so against righties, he is our just straight-up 4th outfielder and backup center fielder. And then against lefties, Rafaela is going to be the corner guy with, backup. They'll still get a decent amount of time there, but, Rafaela plays a little bit more against lefties because he is a right-handed bat who's a bit better against lefties and just has been a spark for us off the bench every time that we've promoted him. So that is what the team is looking like right now. I think we are going to just do that and just see how things go. If we do any other changes to the lineup, it's going to be within the organization with one of the other guys that I talked about already. And there's Brooks Lee getting an injury, 4 weeks of the rotator cuff strain. So just like that, him having his best season for us in the big leagues, rotator cuff strain. So it is currently deadline day right now, and we have not gotten through the day yet because Caden Campbell just got hurt. He is one of our second lefties. So we called up Ryan Hennon to come up and be in our bullpen here. He's a 55 movement lefty. He's had some success in our bullpen before. Steady guy, nothing too crazy for him. But, good enough against lefties and righties. And I was just curious what else was out there because we could just see what else is out there, Like Barfield's young, McDougal hasn't been as good as we would have liked this season. He's not having his best year. Santucci we still trust, but like how Santucci, Barfield, I think are really the only guys that we would trust in a playoff game right now. I would not really trust this version of McDougal. And then maybe we could do some like sort of follower opener thing for the 4th spot for the playoffs, but I'm thinking like maybe we do go out and get a starter. And maybe there's like a reliever on the same team we pick up from the starter. So we go out here and we take a look at the trade block here. And I'm just, boom, right off the bat seeing Tarek Skubal on Milwaukee because they got him this past offseason, or I guess last year at the deadline. They got him from Milwaukee, or they got him from Detroit. And he hasn't really been Tarek Skubal in this universe, I would say. He had a really good 2024. Mediocre 2025. He's never really been too great, but he's having a good season this year. He's been pitching well, giving up, I thought that was his home runs. I was like, holy shit, that's way too many home runs. It was not his home runs. But he is an expiring free agent here with the Brewers. And then you may also notice there's a lot of Milwaukee names here. We get Brian Abreu, expiring free agent, having a horrible season as well. They also have Yohan Duran, expiring free agent. He's been good. That's 3 really intriguing names right there. They also got Severino on their team. He's expiring. That's 4 really intriguing names right there. And if you take a look at Milwaukee, they don't have the worst record of all time. They're only 52-54, but they're 10.5 games out of first place in their division. They do have a positive run differential, but they have a lot of teams in front of them. They're 5 back in the wild card. They've got 3 teams who are in front of them who are all within like a game and a half of that 3rd spot, plus obviously the 3 teams in the wild card. So they just have so many teams in front of them. They're, they've got all these guys on the block. They're at an L4 heading into the deadline. They've got the Rockies right on their tail, who's 7-3 and a W7. It's totally feasible that this Brewers team would be like, let's just trade them and reset for next season. So we're going to see if we can get 2, maybe 3 of these guys. So I think we're going to go and acquire Tarek Skubal and Brian Abreu and not Yohan Duran. We can just straight up add Yohan Duran to this and acquire all 3 of them, but like, that would be cool, but like logistically, I just don't think that's really feasible with our current setup. Like, you acquire 2 of these guys and we're already having like a crunch of like, I guess it's Hennon and who else are you going to send down to make room for somebody? That last guy is already like really tough decision. Like statistics wise, it's probably like Munoz is the worst guy. But, like, obviously we're not going to send down Andres Munoz, so, like, I don't know, we cut bait on McKenzie, but, like, I don't want to do that, so, like, you don't want to send down Younger, you don't want to get rid of Taylor, because he's been good since moving to the bullpen, really, really good. Manning, I mean, it becomes tough, maybe McDougal goes down to AAA, and who knows. But, it's a tough crunch for that last spot if we pick up 2 guys. So 3 guys, I mean, I can't even imagine getting rid of somebody in the bullpen right now. So we are just going to kind of go with the talent here. Duran is having the better season right now. But overall, I just feel like Brian Abreu with the 60 movement, 75 stuff .45 control. He's having a horrible, horrible season this year. But, the underlying numbers aren't that bad. The FIP's only 110. The K-walk is obviously way less than it used to be, but, it's feasible to think that he comes here, he's got a good defense behind him, he's able to figure things out a bit more, and he also wouldn't be, the only guy. Not that he's the only guy in Milwaukee, seemingly, but he wouldn't be, it's feasible to think that he could be able to improve with us. So we're just kind of going with the talent, the ratings on paper with him over Durant as the reliever we're picking up, and then obviously Tarek Skubal is the guy who comes in to be in our rotation. Just coming back from a sprained elbow here in 2 days, having a good season with Milwaukee this year in 2029. Both of them are expiring contracts, so that's going to be big for us. And then they would have done this straight up for Hudson Head, which I just feel like is really cheap even if they are expiring contracts. And also this is not like real-life Tarek Skubal best pitcher in the universe sort of level. I still just felt like it was really cheap to just only do Hudson Head for both of these guys. And now Hudson Head is sort of still valuable for us because he's a super, super good defender in center field, even if he has been really not great offensively. And he does still have some team control for us. But we have some guys coming up the pipeline that, I would not totally, miss Hudson Head if we trade him. Because we've got some guys coming up the pipeline that I will show you in a second here. We've got some guys currently that can piece it together right now. Obviously, Terrell's playing center field at an elite level for us defensively, and if he gets hurt, we've got some guys who can piece it together in center field for us. It's not going to be a huge, huge loss defensively, and really Hudson Head's, he's adding no offense right now, so I'm totally fine with this. And then we're throwing on Carlos Pena, who's a 55 potential, 20-year-old, potentially really good first baseman somewhere down the line, but, he's a first baseman, not really, desperate to keep this guy. He's a 55, so I figured why not add on a decent prospect with Hudson Head. We get Skubal and Brian Abreu and really, really beef up our pitching. Add on to the Gleyber Torres deal we do, and we're looking like a pretty damn solid team heading into the rest of the season. Well, 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 folks, we've arrived at the end of the 2029 campaign, and our Chicago White Sox have indeed topped our win total from last season, which means that we have just gone up on a steady upwards trajectory here. 89 wins our first playoff season, 92 wins last year, winning the division both the seasons, and then winning the division yet again, 95 wins here at the White Sox in 2029. As if we take a look at the expanded standings here, a plus 104 run differential, which was by far the best in the American League Central Division, as the Minnesota Twins do make the playoffs with a minus 34, but, everybody is a negative run differential in the Central aside from us. And then we do finish above 500 on the one-run games. You'd have to imagine that was being helped out by just how many pitchers we added to our team at the deadline, with Skubal and Brian Abreu being added to the mix. And then also just, the bats helping out and just winning some more one-run games, getting that clutch back-end bullpen pitching going on for us down the stretch here. As we finish with 95 wins, which is the second best record in the American League, which means that we will once again not have to worry about the wild card. We will have a first-round bye along with the Red Sox, the team we lost to in the ALCS last season, as they once again had a really good year. The Mariners won the West, and then over in the National League side of things, you got the Braves, the Cardinals, and the Dodgers are your division winners. But let's actually take a look at our statistics here. So we finish top 8 once again in runs scored. That's what it was when we checked right before the trade deadline, so that really didn't improve. But, we're still scoring way more runs than we're giving up, so we're still a very solid team here. And then, teams have gone on runs like that. Teams that have good enough offenses with just elite pitching and defense, and that is us to a T. First in ERA overall with starters and bullpen, first in runs allowed, second in WAR, first in hits allowed, opponent's average, BABIP, home runs allowed. Our base on balls and strikeouts actually went up. I believe both of these went up 1 rating, 8th and 9th, and then 1st in defensive efficiency, 2nd in zone rating, as we continue to just pitch and play defense. As always, the teams are always going to look the same. The philosophy is always the same when it comes to a Jersey-born OTP series, pitching and defense. So going ahead and taking a look at that pitching side of things here, here on the south side, as we'll sort by, we'll keep it innings pitched. Tanner Houck, once again, folks, he might win a 4th straight Cy Young. He won it in 2026, 27, both with the Red Sox. Now he's won 1 with the White Sox, and he was better this year than he was last year. This has been his best season, arguably, of his career. A little bit less innings pitched, but he's got another 6 WAR season, 7.7 R WAR, 1.78 ERA plus with a 68 FIP minus, which is a 2.45 ERA, the best of his career, a 3 FIP flat, and then a 0.6 home runs per 9. He is incredible. And we still have him locked up for 3 more seasons after this at age 33, 34, and 35. Tanner Houck is insane. We love it. The Illinois native pitching in his home state. As then Santucci, not as good of a season as he had last year, but still solid enough. Jaden Barfield's first test in the rotation. He was around a league average pitcher, so we'll take that. Tarek Skubal picked up at the deadline. Continued to pitch well for us, like he was doing for Milwaukee. So, he's one of our guys heading into the postseason. And then Enyel De Los Santos had some time in the rotation as a follower. You can see here as a regular starter did not go well, but it was good enough as a reliever follower. Some of these reliever numbers are just him as a true reliever, but as a follower, he was, good enough. Limited home runs, didn't walk anybody. We'll take that as like the 5th guy in the rotation. Probably going to be moved to the bullpen, make the bullpen even stronger for the postseason. So we'll see how that things go. But then the rest of the guys in the bullpen here, Matt Manning puts together an incredible season as a follower, 142, the exact same amount of innings pitched as Enyel De Los Santos, but as a true just stopper the whole season. 1.9 WAR, 4.1 R WAR, really good year for him. Love to see it. Grant Taylor was not great in the rotation for us, but then moved to the bullpen, where he was the reliever of the year last season as a full-time stopper, and then once again this year was just like, oh yeah, I'm an elite stopper. Goes right back to it. Love to see it. Bullpen is just crazy good for us. Brian Abreu comes over, and like I said, I was saying he was probably going to not be doing this type of stuff behind our defense, and what do you know? Comes over, and he's just phenomenal. Goes back to never allowing home runs, because apparently that's something he does now. So Brian Abreu, just nasty in our back end. I mean, we have so many good relievers. I mean, Manning, Taylor, Abreu, Liager, Gonzalez, Campbell are all guys you would love to use in high leverage. Even Younger and Munoz are like closers on other teams, and we've got them in middle relief. We've got Munoz operating as an opener, and then you're going to add De Los Santos to this mix. Just a crazy good pitching staff here. As the stats for the rest of the guys, Younger, good season overall through 63 and a third innings. Munoz, we look at his ratings just as a regular reliever, was not the greatest, but as an opener, 14 opens, and he was just lights out. He was Jason Foley for us this year. So love to see that. Brian Abreu, like I said, he was really good when he came over. Liager continues to be really good. Jeremy Gonzalez was really good. Caden Campbell was good in limited time. I mean, just a really good bullpen here on the south side, and just staff in general. Just really good pitching here on the south side. And then on the offense, some surprises this year will sort by wins above replacement. Colson Montgomery, best player on the team with a 6-win season, 151 WRC plus, 35 doubles, and 27 home runs. Unfortunately, he did miss a little bit of time with a foot contusion that knocked him out for 2 weeks. But overall, still a very good year for Colson Montgomery, with a huge bounce back from last year with a down season. And then Brian Ramos, like I said, was not really Brian Ramos first half of the season, but he has very much turned it around. We look at his splits per month. August and September just went totally bonkers. 230 WRC plus and a 194 WRC plus in August and September, respectively. 14 and 10 home runs, respectively. 29 and 30 runs driven in those months with a 1256 and 1165 OPS for those 2 months. Crazy months for Brian Ramos. He is ready for the playoffs. You've got Demarion Terrell ends up as the 3rd highest wins above replacement on the team. 97 of WRC plus, still strikes out a ton, but he puts together 24 home runs, and he has a 14.4 ZR in center field. That's a really good center fielder. I mean, we'll take the strikeouts if we're going to sock a bunch of home runs while playing an 80 grade level center field. Absolutely. And then Jacob Gonzalez ended up turning things around. He was really good in the second half. August and September really turned things on for him as well. He has been incredible down the stretch for us, basically playing every second day still with Torres, as Torres unfortunately struggled at second base for us down the stretch. And then we also have Walker Jenkins put together a 2-win season, 26 doubles, 28 home runs for him. Not the best Walker Jenkins season, but still good enough. Same with Caro, just a down year. I mean, I don't know what happened with him. He puts together all these seasons, and then boom, he hits 26, and he just has this horrible year. Hopefully he bounces back for us next year. Obviously, he's still going to be our catcher, so we're hoping for a bounce back, and hopefully he can produce in the playoffs. Brooks Lee at shortstop. Once again, a disappointing season offensively, but at least he puts together a serviceable shortstop, and at least on paper, he's like a better bat than Noah Miller would be. And we actually might have a different option at shortstop next season, not to look at too much ahead, because it's not going to be an option for us in the big leagues in the postseason. But Jaden Stroman here actually has developed pretty nicely. He's a 55 potential. Never really has put together a great offensive season, but really good defender, really good personality. Could possibly be a starting shortstop for us here. And then there's also somebody like Lorenzo Capa, who's coming up the system quite quickly for us. He's currently in high A with the Winston-Salem Dash. Number 44 prospect in baseball, 70 grade center, or 70 grade shortstop with the range and also with the arm. Looks like he could be like a superstar level shortstop for us, so hurry up to the big leagues, please. He was an international free agent signing in 2026 for a measly $330,000. But anyways, taking a look at the rest of the big league team here, Jacob Tobias, nothing too crazy on paper with the wins. He's a DH who just hits a ton, like a really old school DH, I would say. He just goes in there, hits a ton of home runs, gets a bunch of counting stats, but, nothing too special when it comes to the underlying stuff, but, he's going to come in there driving some runs, hits 40 home runs. So we had 2 players at 40 home runs this year between Tobias and Brian Ramos. If this was 2009, Tobias would be getting paid like $1 billion per year, but it's not 2009, and we're not stupid, so we're not going to give him that type of money, obviously, but, we'll take a 40 home run season, absolutely. So Jacob Tobias, good year for him. Torres was good with Tampa Bay, but sucked with us. Henry Davis was actually really good as a backup catcher for us this year, so that's interesting. And then we also called up a bunch of different guys, like Everett Johnson was not really great for us as a bench outfielder, but long-term we do think he's going to be an interesting option for us. And then we also called up Dalton Barjo, who was a 14th round pick for us in 2025 out of the University of Tennessee, one of Tony Vitello's guys, and just kind of chugged along in the minors for us, and then randomly had a big scouting boost here. Went from 2028, went to 45, and then he was a 50 suddenly, and now it's like decent bat, decent looking lefty bat for us as a first baseman. Didn't really play much, but is interesting enough with the bat here as a almost 26-year-old. And then we also called up Rogelio Encinas, got a little bit of time, around league average bat in a very small sample size. Interesting to see what he's going to do for us here in the future. We also had some time from Campana. He came up straight from A-ball. Didn't really do well when there was an injury. I think we called him up when Brooks Lee got hurt. Didn't do well, then went back into Double-A and just was absolutely insane. he is going to be on the big league roster next season. I mean, we're very excited to see what he can do for us. And then we've also had Xavier Nyans, who was the first-round pick for us in 2025. He also got some time in the big leagues for a little bit when Montgomery got hurt. He was splitting time with Encinas at third base. And then you could see back-to-back seasons of really good years for him in Double-A. So once again, just another guy that we are looking to have in the big leagues for us. We can't play all these guys, so maybe at some point we trade some of these guys for, I don't even know what we would trade them for, but we've got some talent here in the system in the White Sox. Oh, and then also we've got Cruz Schoolcraft, who never came up to the big leagues this season, but puts together a 45 home run season in Double-A for us with a 4.6 WAR. He was also the Southern League's Batter of the Month of September, putting together 10 home runs in that month. We look at his splits month to month. That's back-to-back 10 home run months in August and September. I don't know what the hell happened. Our just entire organization was just like, oh, August, September, let's just turn it on. Also, this is minor league September. So this is 10 home runs in 17 games. Oh, I also should mention that we did have 2 season-ending injuries to the big league club. Ceddanne Rafaela broke his kneecap. That's probably his time here on the South Side done. And then also Tristan McKenzie, he tore his UCL. So his time here on the South Side is also probably done. He was really starting to put it together once he got hurt. Unfortunately, he is a guy who has a team option for 1.5. So maybe we bring him back for next season, but he is going to be 33. Or at least approaching 33, coming off a torn UCL. We've got a ton of guys in the system, so, maybe we don't bring him back, maybe we do, but at least, he was good for us in the time he was here. And then just quickly, we are going to zoom through the statistics around Major League Baseball. The batting average leader was Samuel Basallo of the Baltimore Orioles, having a good year, and then Warming Bernabel has turned into quite a player here for the Colorado Rockies. Not really, I don't know. He's kind of, coursing it up a bit, I would say. This guy is a very Coors player, is how I would describe him. Leading the league in doubles, 3 straight seasons because of Coors, and then, 317, leads the National League. Whatever. Home runs, though. Ramos 4th. You'd have to imagine that Tobias was close on this list, too. Top 10, probably, in home runs in Major League Baseball. Tristan Casas, though, with the most, with 54 of the Boston Red Sox. Hopefully we don't see him in the playoffs this year because that was not something I'm looking forward to. He also led in runs. They also have Antonio Anderson, who had the most doubles in baseball, tied with Warming Bernabel. So the American League was Anderson, National League was Bernabel. You also have Tobias. There's another thing. He hits 40 home runs, but he strikes out, counting stats-wise, the third most in Major League Baseball. No, that was the bats. Second most in Major League Baseball with 224 Ks. But, 33% strikeout rate, that's fine for a big bopping left-handed bat. Who cares? It's not 40. And then Brooks Lee, ton of sack hits for him this season in that 7th spot in our order. And then when it comes to the pitching side of things, Tanner Houck, the best ERA in the American League, Kyle Harrison in the National League. In real life, the Red Sox have both of these. They still have Harrison, don't they? They haven't gotten rid of Harrison. I don't believe so. I know as I'm recording this on the day that they just traded for Sonny Gray in real life, the Red Sox. But I don't believe they got rid of Harrison. I know they got rid of Tibbs. Different universe, obviously. And then Grayson Rodriguez in this universe is not hurt getting traded to the Los Angeles Angels. And then Tauk also top 5 in WAR. That's good to see as always. The most walks in baseball belongs to Santucci. I believe he was top 3 last year as well on that statistic. Some of the best whips in baseball belong to us though. Tanner Houck 2nd, Tarek Skubal 4th. FIP was Houck, or 5th for FIP was Houck. R-WAR was Houck. ERA plus Houck in the top 2, top 3 for R-WAR. Best BABIP was Skubal. Skubal was top 3 in opponent's average. Win percentage was Houck. Shutdowns, Manning was top 5. Holds, he was top 2. And then on the fielding side of things, Brian Ramos getting a ton of just chances and counting stats because he just plays so much as a first baseman who never misses a day. Most games started in baseball. Most innings played in baseball. Edgar Caro, ton of passed balls this year. That's really weird considering he's got 60 blocking. But, you know, maybe that factors into why his season was just all around defensively and offensively not the best season from Caro, unfortunately. But then also puts together a good ERA because we just have such good pitching. Who knows? But, you know, those were the statistics here in 2029. And then we talked about the division winners. We have both of the Sox teams, Red Sox and White Sox, are the 1 and 2 seed. And then you have the Rangers, the Orioles, the Twins, and the Mariners are your wild card teams. And then over in the National League, you have the Braves and the Cardinals as the respective 1 and 2 seeds. And then the Brewers, Diamondbacks, Mets, and Dodgers are your clubs in the wild card on the National League side of things. So we'll see who we're taking on in the ALDS next time.